Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to more Let's Talk Tuesdays. I am BrendenPlayz. Big show planned for you guys this episode because we're going to recap the Money in the Bank pay-per-view. Plus, we're going to chat about what happened on this edition of Raw, which was actually really good. I really enjoyed it. So, let's get straight into it. So, Evolution, he has our first question. He's going to actually have a couple of questions in this episode. Your thoughts on John Cena being on the cover of WWE 2K15? Well, I like the cover, actually. I think it looks really nice. I said on Twitter that I think Brock Lesnar probably should have been on the cover, in my opinion. I think, you know, the momentum that he had, beating the streak and whatever. I feel as though Lesnar would have had probably a better impact because we've seen Cena on the covers before. We've seen Cena, you know, we all know Cena. He's been around forever, but we haven't really seen Lesnar. Plus, Lesnar has that more of a mainstream appeal, in my opinion. At least I think, you know, a lot of people know Brock Lesnar, and you know, having the momentum of beating the Undertaker's streak, I think would have been really good to have him on the cover. Plus, I think it would be pretty cool. So I don't know, man. I guess, you know, when all else fails, go with Cena. People were saying Daniel Bryan should have been on it. No, Daniel Bryan does not have the mainstream appeal yet. And if you're gonna have just the one guy on the cover, he needs to be the top guy. And that's why The Rock was on it, even though he was gone after WrestleMania. So, when they have these covers, there needs to be their top guy. You had CM Punk on it before when he was having his big 434-day championship reign. So, you have to kind of think about it, you know, who's the guy, who is the top guy? And I guess Cena is the face of the company still. He's, you know, who else would they really put on there other than Lesnar, in my opinion? No one. So maybe they couldn't get Lesnar to come in and do it. Maybe they couldn't convince Lesnar to get off his farm and come in to shoot a couple of photos for a few hours. So that might have been the reason why Cena's on the cover. So we'll move on. Next question from Evolution again. What are your thoughts on Rollins winning Money in the Bank and Cena winning the belt? So moving on from the Cena conversation, or continuing, I should say. Look, Cena winning the belt, it is what it is, 15 freaking times. I mean, I think the WWE took 3 or 4 steps backwards. I mean, they had this great build. They've gotten Cesaro. They had Barrett, who's now out. I don't know if we'll talk about that. I don't think we got asked that question. But we had Barrett, who's out, Bray Wyatt, and Roman Reigns. 4 top guys coming through the ranks. I don't think any of those guys really would have benefited from having the championship right now. So I think in the current state of things, I think it was probably a decent decision. If the whole plan is to have Cena versus Lesnar, then I am completely fine with it. But if Cena is going to have a long championship reign, then God help me. I am not looking forward to this whatsoever. I think Cena should face Lesnar at SummerSlam. And Cena will get his ass kicked. Lesnar will get his rematch, and then we can have Lesnar hold the title. But the thing is, you know, how long will Lesnar be back for? How many pay-per-views will he wrestle for? That's the big question. How long can the WWE convince Lesnar to work for? And if they can sort out some kind of extra deal for him, then, you know, it will work. But if it's only for the 1 or 2 pay-per-views, then what's the point of giving him the belt, really? And Roman Reigns, I feel as though, should win the championship at WrestleMania 31, and Wyatt probably could have won the title at Money in the Bank, but didn't, so I don't think he'll win the title for a while. And Cesaro, he's lost a lot of momentum, so Cena or Randy Orton were the only 2 logical decisions to make. Muhammad Issa wants to know your thoughts on Stardust. Well, Stardust, I don't know, it's just I don't know if it's a lame attempt to try and keep the Goldust character alive, or I don't know. It's just, I don't like it. I'm not a fan of it. It's not growing on me at all. You think, you know, that it would be pretty cool because, you know, Goldust's a great character and whatever, but it's been done. You know, now you just have a sad attempt from his brother who's trying to get some kind of relevancy. It's just kind of sad to watch it. It's kind of sad watching Cody Rhodes do it, you know. And it just feels so forced when he's trying to act weird and try and act crazy. Like, yeah, you're just so forced. We've seen you be normal for, the past 10 years. Now you're trying to act up as though you're crazy. Well, maybe not 10 years, 8 years or whatever. But doesn't work. Bad decision. Don't like it at all. Bossman Gamer wants to know, who do you think will be the new GM of Raw and SmackDown? Simply put, no one. The GM gimmick has been played out to death, and it is utterly pointless having a GM right now because, one, there is no brand split. What's the point in having someone run two different shows? The shows are practically the same and they deal with the same people. It's just stupid. And you see the SmackDown GM come out on Raw and make matches, and you see the Raw GM come out on SmackDown and make matches. It's just stupid. What's the point? And we all know that Triple H and Stephanie McMahon, the Authority, they're running the show kayfabe-wise anyways. So when Brad Maddox or Vicky Guerrero tries to make a match and the Authority don't like it, they just overrule them. They just say, well, fuck you, we'll do what we want. So they really have no power. They're just a lackey to the Authority, and it just doesn't look good. It needs to be stopped. And I'm glad they got rid of Maddox. Maddox sucks, just fire him. And Vicky Guerrero leaving, she had a great run, but it had to be done. It was played out to death. It was time to, say enough is enough and get rid of the GM gimmick. Thank God. And we have another SmackDown question here from WWE Universe Mode. Why do you think they make SmackDown such a weak show over the past couple of years? Well, it's pretty simple. There's no brand split. The WWE has always seen SmackDown as the B show. They've never taken it completely seriously. There was a time in about 2002 to 2003, maybe 2004, where SmackDown was the A show in many of the fans' eyes. But in the WWE's eyes, Raw has always been the flagship show. They say it every week. So that straight away just kind of devalues SmackDown right down to the ground. There's not much you can do about it when the WWE's perception on the show is that it's a B-rated show. Nothing ever happens on SmackDown. So if you want to save SmackDown, I've talked about this before, you just have to put more emphasis on it. You actually have to give people a reason to tune in. Yeah, having one decent match on the show every week is not enough to make me want to tune in. I want a good card top to bottom. I want story development. I want things to actually happen that is important. And you don't even need to watch SmackDown because they recap it all on Raw the next week anyway. So anything that's half decent that happened on SmackDown, I'll see it on the Raw replay. So there is absolutely zero reason for me to watch SmackDown. I haven't watched SmackDown in about 2 or 3 years. So what's the point? Another question from Evolution. Who will win the Intercontinental Championship at Battleground? Well, it's interesting now that Wade Barrett has been injured, which kind of sucks because I was really getting behind the Bad News Barrett gimmick. And I really felt as though the WWE was getting behind him and was ready to give him a big push. And just exactly what happened last time when they were about to give him the big push. Apparently they were going to give him Money in the Bank a few years ago. He got injured. So if you use that precedence, if you use the Dolph Ziggler precedence, that could mean that Bad News Barrett may not be getting a big push again, because apparently they're not willing to push Ziggler because he's getting injured all the time. So Wade Barrett, whenever they've tried to push him, is getting injured all the time. So, it could be the end of Barrett's big push. I don't know how long he's going to be out for, maybe a few months. But, I think Barrett deserves an opportunity. He's growing on me. I've never really been his biggest fan. But I think he deserves more than the Intercontinental Championship. But anyways, who's going to win at Battleground? Who's going to be the next IC champion? Well, the first name that pops to my mind would have to be Cesaro. You could argue that Barrett and Cesaro were kind of on the same level, ready to take that next step up, but give them a good mid-card title reign of, with a decent feuds, good storylines, and they could be something. So I feel as though Cesaro, he's going to be lost in the shuffle because he's not quite a legitimate main event guy yet. He hasn't had that big main event feud to solidify him as a main eventer. We've seen Bray Wyatt, he's done that with John Cena, Daniel Bryan, now Chris Jericho. And, Cesaro hasn't had that yet. Barrett hasn't had that yet. So, unless they give him that big main event feud, which, who are you going to give him to? There really isn't anybody right now that can really have him feud with that's of any relevancy, that's going to make any difference to his career. The only one who you could really give him to is Sheamus, but he's the US champion. We've kind of seen those guys feud, well, not feud, but have a couple of matches before. Actually, yeah, they had a little bit of a feud. They had a couple of matches not long ago. So kind of been there and done that. So move him down, give him the IC title, let him dominate the mid-card scene. And really, I think he needs to turn face and get away from Heyman, but that's for another video. But let him win the Battle Royal and go from there. Who else is it going to be in it? Look, I think it's Kofi, Sandown, Kali at the moment. Ziggler will be in it. Bo Dallas will probably be in it. Rusev probably will be in it. Actually, no, he won't. He'll face Swagger, by the way, which, by the way, that is going to be an awesome match. I really like that. I think that was a really good decision to finally put those two guys together as a feud. So really, it'll be all the usual mid-card suspects. The Miz will be in it. Probably Mark Henry or Big Show will return and be in it. So there really isn't anybody other than Cesaro who has any kind of relevancy right now, who has any kind of chance of winning the title. Plus, the title is more of a death send, you know, than ever before. You know, we've seen a lot of guys win the IC title, like Curtis Axel, Wade Barrett in the past, Kofi. A lot of guys win it and they just go absolutely nowhere with it, even though it's the second most prestigious belt in the company right now. So just think about that. So if they really are serious about making the IC title legitimate again, I think giving it to Cesaro is the way to go. And today's final question comes from Cobhead Jake over on my forum. How long do you think Chris Jericho will stay around for, and what superstars do you think he might put over? Well, straight away, Bray Wyatt is going to get put over from Jericho. And by the way, great decision to return Jericho right now. I think with Daniel Bryan gone, you need someone to kind of fill in that extra main event slot. Now that Cena's won the belt, and there would be a bit of a missing slot on the main event on the card, because you've got all these top of the line matches, and you saw it at Money in the Bank. You know, you had the two big matches, and the rest of the matches were a snooze fest, except for the tag team match. So they need another undercard, mid-card, upper mid-card match to kind of make the card just a little bit more stronger. So add Jericho in there, put him against Bray Wyatt, have a match or two. I think maybe 2-3 pay-per-views could really do wonders for Bray Wyatt. Maybe let Jericho win one pay-per-view, maybe win his first match back, and then let Bray Wyatt win the next two, and have Jericho put Wyatt over properly. I think obviously Jericho requested to work with Bray Wyatt, and I think we all know, if you listen to Jericho's podcast, he really likes Cesaro as well. So I think Jericho could feud with Cesaro, which I think would be absolutely epic as well. So I think Jericho's likely feuds, if he does more than one, will be, of course, Bray Wyatt, Cesaro, and he may even have a bit of a go at the world title picture. But if not, perhaps he can feud with Seth Rollins or another up-and-coming heel in the company. So I don't know. I think Jericho being back is a good decision. It's a good thing, and I'm happy to see him back. So that'll do it for this week's edition of Let's Talk Tuesdays. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, make sure you leave a like on the video, and please leave your questions for next week's edition of Let's Talk Tuesdays. You can leave a question in the comment section down below, or over at my forums at BrendenPlayz.com/forums. I'll leave a link to that in the description down below. And guys, a lot of you have been messaging me on Twitter and Facebook, leaving me questions. Not the way to go about it. Leave it to 1 or 2 different mediums. That's the only thing I really look at, is for YouTube, my forums, for the questions. So make sure you leave it on either YouTube or the forums. So hope you guys enjoyed it, like I said, and have a great day, and I'll see you next week.